Hey, what's up, dude? Craig? Okay. Solid. Yeah, you know it, dude. Gordon Ryan dyes his hair to look like me, bro. You know what I mean? Like he's trying to be like me. It's not the other way around. Okay, here we go. Okay. Cool. My biggest platform is probably like uh this. I'm at 21,000. Trying for YouTube though. That's like my main push right now. All right. Okay. Okay. Mm-mm-mm. Boom, 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 boom. Where am I on this one? What? What happened? Boom. Okay. Cool. 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 All right. Eh, never mind. All right. That's it. Welcome back to part 2 of our review of the debate between Ken Ham and Bill Nye, the science guy. They just did their intro, so now they're going to get back into hopefully some back and forth because it was a little stale before. So I think this is where it's going to finally start heating up.
That's a lot to take in. I hope everybody's holding up well. It's a lot of information. What we're going to have now is a 5-minute rebuttal time.
Here we go.
For each gentleman to
Finally
address the other one's comments. And then there will be a 5-minute counter rebuttal after that. Things are going to start moving a little more quickly now. So at this point in particular, I want to make sure we don't have applauding or anything else going on that slows it down. So, Mr. Ham, if you'd like to begin with your 5-minute rebuttal first.
And then?
Well, first of all, Bill, if I was to answer all the points that you brought up, the moderator would think I was going on for millions of years.
And we know that didn't happen. Hilarious.
And you mentioned the age of the Earth a couple of times, so let me deal with that. As I said in my presentation, you can't observe the age of the Earth, and I would say that comes under what we call historical origin science. Now, just to understand, so you understand where I'm coming from, yes, we admit we build our origins of historical science on the Bible. The Bible says God created in 6 days. The Hebrew word yom, as it's used in Genesis 1 with evening, morning number, means an ordinary day. Adam was made on day 6. And so when you add up all those genealogies...
Oh my gosh, this is so wild, dude. It really is so crazy that that's how they think, that's the best that they got. Like, for something that's so inane, like the idea that humans can live for 900 years old. Like, how has that never been observed anywhere else in the history of the world? You know, I mean, just think about that, how, how wild that would be. Like, you would still have some people that were divinely inspired or connected to God somehow that were still able to live for 900 years old or maybe 800 or even 500 or even 300. But what do we get? We get this stuff, and then people actually thinking that this is real. This little like Excel spreadsheet knows more than like anatomy and physiology, the entire field of science. Like, God, man, it's crazy. Come on.
The Bible, yeah, from Adam to Abraham, you've got 2,000 years from Abraham to Christ, 2,000 years from Christ to the present 2,000 years. That's how we get 6,000 years. So that's where it comes from.
What a joke.
So you know.
Hey, Ness, how's it going?
A lot of people say, now, by the way, the Earth's age is 4.5 billion years old, and we have radioactive decay dating methods that found that. But you see, we certainly observe radioactive decay, whether it's rubidium, strontium, whether it's uranium, lead, potassium, argon. But when you're talking about the past, we have a problem. I'll give you a practical example. In Australia, there were engineers that were trying to search out about a coal mine, and so they drilled down and they found a basalt layer, lava flow, that had woody material in it, branches and twigs and so on. And when Dr. Andrew Snelling, our PhD geologist, sent that to a lab in Massachusetts in 1994, they used potassium argon dating. It dated to 45 million years old. Well, he also sent the wood to the radiocarbon section of the same lab, and that dated to 45,000 years old. 45,000-year-old wood and 45 million-year-old rock. The point is, there's a problem. Let me give you another example of a problem.
So he's saying that there's no way that wood was 45 million years old. I mean, what?
Let me give you another example of a problem.
I don't understand.
There was a lava dome that started to form in the 80s after Mount St. Helens erupted. And in 1994, Dr. Steve Austin, another PhD geologist, actually sampled the rock there. He took whole rock, crushed it, sent it to the same lab, actually, I believe, and got a date of 0.35 million years. When he separated out the minerals, amphibole and pyroxene, and used potassium argon dating, you get 0.9 million, 2.8 million. My point is, all these dating methods actually give all sorts of different dates. In fact, different dating methods on the same rock we can give all sorts of different dates. See, there's lots of assumptions in regard to radioactive dating. Number one, for instance, the amounts of the parent and daughter isotopes at the beginning when the rock formed. You have to know them, but you weren't there. See, that's historical science. Assumption two.
You weren't there. I mean, dude, you weren't there at the beginning of the supernova that created the element. Is that what you're talking about? Like, you weren't there during, because we're not talking the stuff that the stuff our solar system's made out of is stuff that's already supernova, right? So the idea that, like, you just weren't there for the supernova event, so therefore you don't understand how anything in the world works. I guess, dude. I mean, I guess that's wild, but okay.
That all daughter atoms measured today must have only been derived in situ radioactive decay of parent atoms. In other words, it's a closed system, but you don't know that, and there's a lot of evidence that that's not so. Assumption number three, that the decay rates have remained a constant. And they're just some of them. There's others as well. The point is, there's lots of...
There has to be the decay. That's another thing. See, that's the other thing. The radioactive decay rate must have been constant at today's rate, because remember, God is working really quickly, guys. God's working really quickly. He's smashing atoms together, accidentally when he's creating the world. There's lots of things happening, dude. Just the idea that, like, I love the squished and the space-time relativity that God works in. It's amazing.
Have remained a constant. And they're just some of them. There's others as well. The point is, there's lots of assumptions in regard to the dating method. So there's no
not assumptions.
dating method you can use that you can absolutely age date a rock. There's all sorts of differences out there. And I do want to address the bit you brought up about Christians believing in millions of years. Yeah, there's a lot of Christians out there that believe in millions of years, but I'd say they have a problem. I'm not saying they're not Christians, but because salvation is conditioned upon faith in Christ, not the age of the earth, but there's an inconsistency with what the Bible teaches. If you believe in millions of years, you've got death and bloodshed, suffering, disease, over millions of years leading to man, because that's what you see in the fossil record. The Bible makes it very clear death is a result of man's sin. In fact, the first death was in the garden when God killed an animal, clothed Adam and Eve, first blood sacrifice.
Wait. There wasn't any death before that? Zero? Like, zero death. So that means that nothing died? There's no way. That's so wild. The idea that things just lived forever. So that must be why Adam and Eve are so. Oh my gosh. Oh my god.
Pointing towards what would happen with Jesus Christ, who would be the one who would be die once and for all. Now, if you believe in millions of years as a Christian, in the fossil record, there's evidence of animals eating each other. The Bible says originally all the animals and man were vegetarian. We weren't told we could eat meat until...
So instead of believing that and just making the observation of today, right? That's the whole point that he's trying to make, that you can't infer previous historical relevance on, like, based off of... Wait. You can see that today. He really thinks that things were...
The Bible says originally...
And God said, "See, I have given you every herb that yields seed, which is on the face of all the earth, and every tree whose fruit yields seed. To you it shall be for food," okay? "And to every beast of the earth, to every bird of the air, and to everything that creeps into the earth, in which there is life, I have given every green herb for food." Okay, but that still doesn't mean even they could be eating every herb for food, and then they could still be eating other stuff. They could still be eating other stuff, man. They could still, you know what I mean? That doesn't mean that they're not, eating other things as well.
all the animals and man were vegetarian. We weren't told we could eat meat until after the flood. There's diseases represented.
Wait, the flood thing after the flood?
We weren't told.
Every moving thing that lives shall be food for you. Every moving thing that lives. There you go. I mean, that's everything that I have given you, all things, everything as the green herbs. Wow. Okay, man, these words are really making that's okay.
We could eat meat until after the flood. There's diseases represented in the fossil record like brain tumors, but the Bible says when God made everything, it was very good. God doesn't call brain tumors very good. There's fossilized thorns in the fossil record. Said to be hundreds of millions of years old. The Bible says thorns came after the curse. So these two things can't be true at the same
time. Am I trying to make sense of it? Well, I'm just like, it's just, I'm trying to understand how these guys, it's so laughable. The fact that there's no violence, there's nothing, you know, in how willfully ignorant that they are to all of that. You know, I mean, I never really put it into perspective, I guess. The idea of what life was like before Adam and Eve, because it's like it's all a couple days. You know what I mean? It's such a fast time. So he's just saying they lived harmoniously for days. That's what he's basically saying. They have like a block party or something.
Same time. And you know what? There's hundreds of dating methods out there, hundreds of them. Actually, 90% of them contradict billions of years. And the point is, all such dating methods are fallible. And I claim there's only one infallible dating method. It's the witness who was there, who knows everything, who told us. And that's from the Word of God. And that's why I would say that the...
okay. It's like, oh, we don't know, you know, because isotope dating methods, notoriously unreliable, but random guy with a conspiracy book, famously, that you can set your hat on that one. It's like, what?
There's only 6,000 years, and as Dr. Faulkner said, there's nothing in astronomy, and certainly Dr. Snelling would say there's nothing in geology to contradict a belief in a young age for the Earth and the universe.
Thank you, Mr. Ham. Mr. Nye, your 5-minute rebuttal, please.
Thank you very much. Let me start with the beginning. If you find 45 million year old rock on top of 45,000 year old trees, maybe the rock slid on top.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it. That seems much more reasonable explanation than it's impossible.
True.
As far as dating goes, actually the methods are very reliable. One of the mysteries or interesting things that people in my business, especially at the Planetary Society, are interested in is why all the asteroids seem to be so close to the same date. It's in age, 4.5, 4.6 billion years. It's a remarkable thing. People at first expected a little more of a spread. So I understand that you take the Bible as written in English, translated not countless, but many, many times over the last 3 millennia, as to be a more accurate, more reasonable assessment of the natural laws we see around us than what I and everybody in here can observe. That to me is unsettling, troubling. And then about the disease thing, are the fish sinners? Have they done something wrong to get diseases? That's sort of an extraordinary claim that takes me just a little past what I'm comfortable with. And then as far as you can't observe the past, I have to stop you right there. That's what we do in astronomy. All we can do is in astronomy is look at the past. By the way, you're looking at the past right now because the speed of light bounces off of me and then gets to your eyes. And I'm delighted to see that the people in the back of the room appear just that much younger than the people in the front. So this idea that you can separate the natural laws of the past from the natural laws that we have now, I think is at the heart of our disagreement. I don't see how we're ever going to agree with that if you insist that natural laws have changed. It's, for lack of a better word, it's magical. And I have appreciated magic since I was a kid, but it's it's not really what we want in conventional mainstream science. So your assertion that all the animals were vegetarians before
That's
they
so
got on the
wild,
ark,
dude.
that's really remarkable. I have not
I've never heard that.
spent a lot of time with lions, but I can tell they've got teeth that really aren't set up for broccoli. That these animals were vegetarians till this flood is something that I would ask you to provide a little more proof for. I give you the lion's teeth. You give me verses as translated into English over, 30 centuries? So that is not enough evidence for me. If you've ever played telephone, I remember very well in kindergarten, where you have a secret and you whisper it to the next person, to the next person, to the next person. Things often go wrong. So it's very reasonable to me that instead of lions being vegetarians on the ark, lions are lions, and the information that you use to create your worldview is not consistent with what I as a reasonable man would expect. So I want everybody to consider the implications of this. If we accept Mr. Ham's point of view, that Mr. Ham's point of view, that the Bible as translated into American English serves as a science text, and that he and his followers will interpret that for you, I want you to consider what that means. It means that Mr. Ham's word, or his interpretation of these other words, is somehow to be more respected than what you can observe in nature, what you can find literally in your backyard in Kentucky.
I mean, yeah, they're asking you not to believe your own eyes and ears, right? I mean, that's the whole point. They want a monopoly on information and how they understand the world. It's so nefarious.
A troubling and unsettling point of view, and it's one I'd very much like you to address when you come back. As far as
I don't think that
the
he's going to do
5
that.
races that you mentioned, it's kind of the same thing. The 5 races were claimed by people who were of European descent, and they said, hey, we're the best, check us out. And that turns out to be, if you've ever traveled anywhere or done anything, not to be that way. People are much more alike than they are different. So
Yeah, that's how Trump supporters will support him. They don't believe their own eyes. Yeah, exactly. They also just tend to be just so happen. Hi, Avon. I know. I think Ness, it's very telling. You know what I mean? I think it's like the whole idea of religion and authoritarianism just goes so well together, right, into people's minds, and they can't get out of that, unfortunately, a lot of times.
are we supposed to take your word for English words translated over the last 30 centuries instead of what we can observe in the universe around us?
Very good. And Mr. Ham, would you like to offer your 5-minute counter rebuttal?
It's not my word, dude. It's the word that's the Bible, and the Bible is the word of God. So therefore, you should believe the Bible than the word of God, not me. I mean, duh. How old is it? 12 years?
I just don't want a misunderstanding here, and that is the 45,000-year-old wood, or supposedly 45,000, was inside the basalt. So it was encased in the basalt, and that's why I was making that particular point. And I would also say that natural law hasn't changed. As I talked about, I said we have the laws of logic, the uniformity of nature, and that only makes sense within a biblical worldview anyway, of a creator God who set up those laws. And
nice.
That's why we can do good experimental science, because we assume those laws are true, and they'll be true tomorrow. I do want to say this, that you said a few times, Ken Ham's view or Ken Ham's model. It's not just Ken Ham's model. We have a number of PhD scientists on our own
I told you, here it comes.
I had video quotes from some scientists. It's Dr. Demadian's model. It's Dr. Fabish's model. It's Dr. Faulkner's model. It's Dr. Snelling's model. It's Dr. Purdam's model, and so it goes on. In other words, and you go on our website, and there are lots of creation scientists who agree with exactly what we're saying concerning the Bibles and concerning the Bible's account of creation. So it's not just my model in that sense. There's so much that I could say, but...
Atheists think that humans evolved from bacteria. Life continued after bacteria evolved, and eventually humans evolved from that shared heritage, but humans never evolved directly from bacteria, obviously, right?
As I listen to you, I believe you're confusing terms in regard to
Hey,
species
Bobby.
and kinds, because
Excuse
we're
me.
not saying God created all those...
I wasn't aware. I'm sorry. Please, thank you for letting us know.
Species. We're saying God created kinds. And we're not saying species got on the ark, we're saying kinds. In fact, we've had researchers working on what is a kind. For instance, there's a number of papers published on our website where, for instance, they look at dogs and they say, well, this one breeds with this one, with this one, with this one, this one, this one. And you can look at all the papers around the world and you can connect them all together and say that obviously represents one kind. In fact, as they've been doing that research, they have predicted probably less than actually 1,000 kinds were on Noah's Ark, which means just over two.
Wait. Less than 1,000 kinds were on Noah's Ark, and we have millions of species. Can you imagine the type of like hyper evolution that had to have happened? And that's like that doesn't make any sense. So even still, so they're like, oh no, it's only 2,000. That's what he's trying to say. He's trying to say how many animals could have fit onto this giant boat, and then we got to work back from there. So okay, 2,000. They think 2,000 animals led to millions of species that we see today. It's like, come on, dude. Like, come on, man.
2,000 animals, and the average size of a land animal is not that big. So, you know, there was plenty of room on the ark.
Dude,
I also believe that
dude, I mean, I'm not kidding. I mean, seriously, Dro, like, of all the claims, even like Sky Fairy, like, adult Santa Claus, like, I get that. I get that in some point. Like, but Noah's Ark, like, literally, dude, like, that is so embarrassing. Like, that is so embarrassing. Exactly, Midnight Alchemist. Don't forget all the bacteria, parasites, disease, viruses, all living in those animals. So now that there's even less species, so that means that they're even more infected because they're infected with everything else in their own family. You know what I mean? They're familial coronaviruses. So they're gonna be like every one of those is gonna be just a living petri dish. It's just like, come on,
what you were saying was
man.
really illustrating my point. You were talking about tree rings and ice layers and just talking about kangaroos getting to Australia and all sorts of things like that. But see, we're talking about the past when we weren't there. We didn't see those tree rings actually forming. We didn't see those layers being laid down. You know, in 1942, for instance, there was some planes that were landed on the ice in Greenland, and they found them, 46 years later, I think it was, 3 miles away from the original location with 250 feet of ice buried on top of them. So ice can build up catastrophically if you assume one layer...
Wait. So he thinks that there's too much ice on the top of them, so therefore there's lots of ice that's coming to and from, so we can't make any type of inference on the layers that there are. He thinks that those layers just happen to spontaneously happen one night. This is Ken Ham. I'm so confused. Like, that is so wild to me.
A year or something like that. It's like the dating methods. You're assuming things in regard to the past that aren't necessarily true. In regard to lions and teeth, most bears have teeth very much like a lion or tiger, and yet most bears are primarily vegetarian. The panda, if you look at its...
What do you mean they're omnivores? Vegetarian? My sweet brother of Jesus of Nazareth, dude. Have you never seen the videos of bears like eating salmon? Like, what? They're omnivores, man. That like bears eat a lot of other stuff, dude. Like primarily vegetarian. How does that even make any sense, dude? Come on.
Teeth, you'd say maybe it should be a savage carnivore. It eats mainly mainly bamboo. The little fruit bat in Australia has really sharp.
Has he even seen a polar bear? Exactly, Hazel. Imagine. Don't you understand, Hazel? Polar bears are infamously vegetarian. What are you talking about? They like the cold, the smoothie, the spinach smoothie. Just, dude, what dribble, man? Come on.
Looks like a savage little creature, and it rips into fruit. So just because an animal has sharp teeth doesn't mean it's a meat eater. It means it has sharp teeth.
Yeah, dude, because I have I have a fork that I eat with salads, and forks are sharp, so therefore teeth that are sharp would be good for salads too. Did you ever think about that? Duh. Gosh. You they just like polar bears just have a salad fork in their mouths. Don't you think about that? Oh, couldn't you the first time you ever thought of that, huh? Wow. Wow.
And so again, it really comes down to our interpretation of these things. I think too, in regard to the Missoula example that you gave, you know, creationists do believe there's been post-flood catastrophism. Noah's flood certainly was a catastrophic event, but then there's been post-flood catastrophism since that time as well. And again, in regard to historical science, why would you say Noah was unskilled? I mean, I didn't meet Noah, and neither did you. And, you know, really, it's an evolutionary view of origins, I believe, because you're thinking in terms people before us aren't as good as us. Hey, there are civilizations that existed in the past, and we look at their technology, and we can't even understand today how they...
Bro just dropped Ancient Aliens. Are you serious? Out of nowhere, bro is dropping Ancient Aliens on us and saying there was more advanced civilizations before us that we can't understand their technology. What? We don't understand how they did something, but we definitely understand like the mechanisms and how the world works a lot better than people that lived 10,000 years ago. Like, what in the world? How could you bring Ancient Aliens into a creationism argument? Like, what in the world, man?
They did some of the things that they did. Who says Noah couldn't build a big boat? By the way, the Chinese and the Egyptians built boats. In fact, some of our research indicates that some of the wooden boats that were built had 3 layers interlocking so they wouldn't twist like that.
Wow.
Which is why here at the Creation Museum we have an exhibit on the Ark where we've rebuilt 1% of the Ark to scale and show 3 interlocking layers like that. And one last thing concerning the speed of light, and that is, I'm sure you're aware of the horizon problem, and that is from a Big Bang perspective, even the secularists have a problem of getting light and radiation out to the universe to be able to exchange with the rest of the universe to get that even microwave background radiation. On their model, 15 billion years or so, they can only get it about halfway, and that's why they have inflation theories, which means everyone has a problem concerning the light issue. There's things people don't understand, and we have some models on our website by some of our scientists to help explain those sorts of things.
Dude, I hate how it's like, how he's like, okay, so you basically you have like this whole thing, and there's little holes here. Okay, it's not 100. You're saying it's 100%, but you know, I can see little cracks. You know, I think that there's little cracks here. Meanwhile, he's like, this is a perfect wall. And you're like, what? What are you talking about? Like, this is a perfect wall. You can't see me at all. Because I have a force field. And you're like, bro, I can see you right now. I'm looking at you right now. You're like, nuh-uh. I have a force field. Nobody can see me. It's like, oh, what, bro? Yes, we can definitely see you. But anyway, science though, science, I can see right through you. There's not all these holes. You got all these holes peeking through, dude. Like, it's just the way and the absolute scrutiny that he has of every single point of contention. You know, he's memorized all these apologetic lines for all these different examples in his brain to give himself like an easy out, an easy offshoot. Meanwhile, like his own models fail every single point that he is bringing up about evolution and scientific inquiry. Every single one of those contentions also fails his own model. He doesn't actually like address anything that he's talking about within himself. That's what my so frustrating listening to this guy, because it's just like on his side, it's nothing but apologetics, but on the science side, it's nothing but merciless, completely uncharitable, conspiracy pushing nonsense.
Mr. Nye, your counter rebuttal.
Thank you, Mr. Ham, but I'm completely unsatisfied. You did not, in my view, address just fundamental questions. 680,000 years of snow ice layers, which require winter-summer cycle. Let's say you have 2,000 kinds instead of 7. That makes the problem even more extraordinary. Multiplying 11 by by 3.5, we get to 35, 40 species every day that we don't see. They're not extant. In fact, you probably know we're losing species due to mostly human activity and the loss of habitat. Then, as far as Noah being an extraordinary shipwright, I'm very skeptical. The shipwrights, my ancestors, the Nye family in New England, spent their whole life learning to make ships. I mean, it's very reasonable, perhaps, to you that Noah had superpowers and was able to build this extraordinary craft
Supermen
with 7 family members. But to me, it's just not reasonable. Then, by the way, the fundamental thing we disagree on, Mr. Ham, is this nature of what you can prove to yourself. This is to say, when people make assumptions based on radiometric data, when they make assumptions about the expanding universe, when they make assumptions about the rate at which genes change in populations of bacteria in laboratory growth media.
Lovely.
They're making assumptions based on previous experience. They're not coming out of whole.
Exactly. Reproducibility. We can reproduce those events. That's why we can actually gain knowledge from it, because it's not just that event, it's understanding how to use that and see that and observe that in other ways as well.
Cloth. So next time you have a chance to speak, I encourage you to explain to us why we should accept your word for it, that natural law changed just 4,000 years ago, completely, and there's no record of it. You know, there are pyramids that are older than that. There are human populations that are far older than that, with traditions that go back farther than that. And it's just not reasonable to me that everything changed 4,000 years ago. By everything, I mean the species, the surface of the earth, the stars in the sky, and the relationship of all the other living things on Earth to humans. It's just not reasonable to me that everything changed like that.
I mean, the problem is that they're like, well, everything did change like that because God is powerful, all powerful, and all knowing, and that's why. And it's just always this thing that they can do. You should watch the debate with Chris Hitchens and the Catholic bishops. Yeah, about it was the intelligence squared debate, right? Talking about whether or not the Catholic Church was a good of force of good in the world. That is a legendary debate for sure. It's a good one.
And another thing I would very much appreciate you addressing, there are billions of people in the world who are deeply religious, and I respect that. People get tremendous community and comfort and nurture and support from their religious fellows in their communities, in their faiths, in their churches, and yet they don't accept your point of view. There are Christians who don't accept that the earth could somehow be this extraordinarily young age because of all the evidence around them.
That's a good point.
And so what is to become of them, in your view? And by the way, this thing started, as I understand it, Ken Ham's creation model is based on the Old Testament. So when you bring in, I'm not a theologian, when you bring in the New Testament, isn't that a little out of the box? I'm looking for explanations of the creation of the world as we know it, based on what I'm going to call science. not historical science, not observational science. Things that each of us can do, akin to what we do. We're trying to outguess the characters on murder mystery shows.
Exactly. I mean, they apologetics requires them to create new lanes of knowledge to suck you into so that they can seem more important than they are because they have no new information to give, right? So it has to be that they create this historical science, observational science. You see it in evolution too, micro versus macro evolution, all this nonsense. So they have no way of testing their hypotheses, right? So that's the only thing that they could go to. And Bill Nye's point there was so interesting too. I think that's a great point. Like all the religious people that don't account for young earth creationism, like wouldn't those be the first people that God would go to, or that would it be self-evident that something like this could happen or that it did happen? And I mean, it's such a, young earth creationism is such a small percentage of everyone. But they have such a big impact, a disproportional impact, I think. You see it with vaccines right now. You see it with anti-science rhetoric that they give. It's very nefarious. And it isn't just like this cute, quaint thing, anymore. Maybe 15 years ago, 12 years ago, when this thing was filmed, or 20 years ago when, people started watching these things online and debating this, but not now.
On crime scene investigation, especially.
I believe in God. I think young earth creationism is ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, I think it's really telling, man, like how many but I mean the problem though is that there aren't you don't see religious people standing up for science right now, as it's being destroyed from this kind of like Maha element too, because I feel like they are uniquely being exploited in terms of um, this Adam and Eve story kind of being taken to use or usurp this idea that humans could be 900 years old, or you know what I mean, or that humans were pristine in this garden without microplastics, and now we are able to live for until 900 years old, and now it's like now we can't, you don't hear pushback within the Christian community against Maha, which is basically like Christian healthcare, right? I think that's the big problem, is that they're kind of using religion in lieu of public health, which is very odd to me. It's very, very dangerous. The speed of his delivery indicates how problematic and harmful he is. Yeah, he's so well practiced, right? His little quips and stuff, like his little apologia that he whips out, like are um so well rehearsed. Like he knows exactly what he wants to say, and it flows really well. He's scripted. He literally, as someone that just wrote their first script today, I can tell you that he's very scripted.
What is to become of all those people who don't see it your way? For us in the scientific community, I remind you that when we find an idea that's not tenable, that doesn't work, that doesn't fly, doesn't hold water, whatever idiom you'd like to embrace, we throw it away. We're delighted. That's why I say if you can find a fossil that has swum between the layers, bring it on. You would change the world. If you could show that somehow the microwave background radiation is not a result of the Big Bang, come on, write your paper, tear it up. So your view that we're supposed to take your word for this book written centuries ago, translated into American English, is somehow more important than what I can see with my own eyes is an extraordinary claim. And for those watching online especially, I want to remind you that we need scientists, and especially engineers, for the future. Engineers use science to solve problems and make things. We need these people so that the United States can continue to innovate and continue to be a world leader. We need innovation.
Memories. It's like so crazy, guys. This is 2024, February 2014, streamed live. Man, that's just how he's saying how we can continue being a world leader. You're just like, dang, what a time to be alive.
And that needs science education. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you both.
The before time.
Now we're going to get...
Did you hear that one clap? That was so funny.
Education. Thank you.
All right, thank you both. Now we're going to get to the things moving a little bit faster, and I think they may be quite interesting here. It's 40 to 45 minutes, maybe a little bit more actually, we'll have a little more, for questions and answers submitted by our audience here in the Creation Museum. Beforehand, we handed out these cards to everyone. I shuffled them here in the back, and in fact I dropped a lot of them, and then I scooped them up again. And if you saw me sorting through them here, it was to get a pile for Mr. Nye and a pile for Mr. Ham, so that we can alternate reasonably between them. Other than that, the only reason I will skip over one is if I can't read it, or if it's a question that I don't know how to read because it doesn't seem to make any sense, which sometimes happens just because of the way people write. What's going to happen is we're going to go back and forth between Mr. Nye and Mr. Ham. Each debater will have 2 minutes.
I mean, how he's really laying it out as the host here. He's like, okay, and then they're going to say some words back and forth, and both of them will respond to the question with a inflection at the end of the word here with a question mark. And then the other person will receive the message and respond in kind with how they think their answer should be. Like, okay, bro, we get it. Jesus Christ.
Minutes to answer the question addressed to him, and then the other will have 1 minute to also answer the question, even though it was addressed to the other man. And I did pull one card aside here because I noticed it was to both men. So we may be able to get to that at some point. Mr. Ham, you've been up first. If you'll hop up first this time, and Mr. Nye, you can stand by for your response to this. 2 minutes. How does creationism account for the celestial bodies, planets, stars, moons, moving further and further apart? And what function does that serve in the grand...
Sky is fake. Obviously, sky is a projection. Obviously, that's what everyone knows that. Next problem, duh. Jeez.
Well, when it comes to looking at the universe, of course, we believe that in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth, and I believe our creationist astronomers would say, yeah, you can observe the universe expanding. Why God is doing that? In fact, in the Bible, it even says he stretches out the heavens and seems to indicate that there is an expansion of the universe. And so we would say, yeah, that you can observe that. That fits with what we'd call observational science, exactly why God did it that way. I can't answer that question,
Checkmate.
of course.
Checkmate,
because,
you're so
The
good.
Bible says that God made the heavens for his glory, and that's why he made the stars that we see out there, and it's to tell us how great he is and how big he is. And in fact, I think that's the thing about the universe. The universe is so large, so...
Does he think that the earth is flat? No, he doesn't actually. So he is a non-flurfer young earth creationist, which is true. That is truly creme de la creme cognitive dissonance. Like it's wild. So he believes in the literal meaning of the word of God from Bible in regards to 900-year-old people, but not flat earth kind of stuff. So there is a line in his brain. I respect that, I guess. I don't know. He's able to say no to a single conspiracy in his brain. So, good work, I guess. I don't know, dude. Jeez.
Big out there. One of our planetarium programs looks at this, where we go in and show you how large the universe is, and I think it shows us how great God is.
Wow,
How big
incredible.
he is, that he's an all-powerful God, he's an infinite God. an infinite, all-knowing God.
Is he gonna break into the song right here? Is our God is an awesome God. He reigns from heaven and above through sin and power and love. Actually, our God is an awesome God. Like what is he's just like, bro, you don't actually have to sing it, man.
Created the universe to show us his power. I mean, can you imagine that? And the
Wow.
thing that's remarkable.
Think how crazy that is. Just being like he created the whole universe just to show how powerful he is. What a flex, dude. What a badass. Like just like boom. It was just only in like imagine if God worked for a year on something. This was just a week. You know, he didn't even care. Like he did it in his own image, but he didn't even care when he did it. He just put a earth over here.
Bible, for instance, says on the fourth day of creation, and oh, he made the stars also. It's almost like, oh, by the way, I made the stars.
Oh, by the way, oh, wow.
And just to show us, he's an all-powerful God. He's an infinite God. So I made the stars, and he made them to show us how great he is. And he is. He's an infinite creator God. And
wow. Like just every single claim that he makes, dude. He couldn't believe that radio isotope dating makes sense because there's holes in that, but he's just like, I mean, it says that he's infinite, so he's infinite. Like, what? Like, how is he possibly?
That you understand what that means, that God is all-powerful, infinite. You stand back in awe, you realize how small we are, you realize, wow, that God would consider this planet.
Dude, there's people out there on the side
that
like
created human beings here, knowing they would sin, and yet stepped into history to die for us and be raised from the dead, to offer us the free gift of salvation. Wow, what a God. And that's what I would say when I...
Wow, what a God.
I see
my
the universe
God.
as it is.
Wow.
1 minute.
Did he think that he nailed that? Does he think that actually went well? Like, what was that? Someone was like, how do you contend with cosmic everything as a young earth creationism person? And he just goes on this diatribe. I'm telling you, it's a script, guys. They just know all this stuff, and you never stop it. You just temporarily shut down the vomit of apologia that comes out of his mouth at any time.
There's a question that troubles us all from the time we are absolutely youngest and first able to think. And that is, where did we come from? Where did I come from?
Yeah.
And this question is so compelling that we've invented the science of astronomy. We've invented life science. We've invented physics. We've discovered these natural laws so that we can learn more about our origin and where we came from. To you, when it says he invented the stars also,
No, that's it. Done.
that's satisfying.
That's
You're
not.
done.
That's crazy to
good.
me.
Okay, to me, when I look at the night sky, I want to know what's out there. I'm driven. I want to know if what's out there is any part of me, and indeed it is. Oh, by the way, I find compelling, you are satisfied. And the big thing I want from you, Mr. Ham, is can you come up with something that you can predict? Do you have a creation model that predicts something that will happen in nature?
And that's time. Mr. Nye, the next question is for you.
Oh, it's just so like make him answer something. Make him answer a single thing, guys. That is so frustrating, man. They can't predict anything. That's the whole point.
How did the atoms that created the Big Bang get there?
This is the great mystery.
Dude, how did God get there? Like how did God, like who created God? What God created God? You know, like all these like gotchas that people say, like, well, then what made the Big Bang? And it's like, I don't know. Why should we have to know everything? We don't know everything, and that's okay. But like every time you add a supernatural necessity you know, Allah, a supernatural, omnipresent, omnipotent God, like you haven't solved your problem because who created that omnipresent, omnipotent being? Another one. You know, you haven't solved any of the problems that you were out to solve, like to look at. It's just it's so tiring, man.
You've hit the nail on the head. No, this is so, what was before the Big Bang?
We don't know.
This is what drives us. This is what we want to know. Let's keep looking. Let's keep searching. When I was young, it was presumed that the universe was slowing down. It's a Big Bang, except it's in outer space. There's no air, so it goes out like that. And so people presumed that it would slow down, that the universe, the gravity especially, would hold everything together, and maybe it's going to come back.
Do you ever think that Ken Ham in this moment's like jealous? He's like, he's got like these cool stories, like, because honestly, any story of reality is way better than like some dusty old book. You know what I mean? That's like 2,000 years old. That's not relatable at all. And he's like, God, Ken Ham's just like putting his head down. He's just like, I can't believe I gotta like keep talking about this same book, and he has all these cool stories about all these cool things, and I just gotta constantly say they're not real. But that does sound really cool, though. Do you ever think that he thinks that? I really do, really do feel like he's jealous in these moments, you know?
Can explode again. And people went out, and the mathematical expression is the universe flat? This is a mathematical expression. Will the universe slow down asymptotically without ever stopping? Well, in 2004, Saul Perlmutter and his colleagues went looking for the rate at which the universe was slowing down. Let's go out.
That's why people prefer religion. It gives certainty when there's none. People hate uncertainty. I think that's a really good point, Ness. I think that's one of the things that I want to try to do with like the science communication is actually to show people like the percentage game. You know what I mean? Of that, like, even though science is 99.9% sure, you know, that's still an incredible achievement. It's not 100% proven, but you take those every single day. If I gave you a certain amount of money every single time 99.9% hits, you're going to take that amount of money for sure, because it's going to be a really, really good time. You know, and you wouldn't say, oh, no way I'm going to trust that. I'm not going to get paid 0.01% of the time. That's trash. Like the certainty is, in any other context is incredible, right?
Measure it, and we do it with this extraordinary system of telescopes around the world, looking at the night sky, looking for supernovae. These are standard brightness that you can infer distances with. And the universe isn't slowing down. It's accelerating. The universe is accelerating in its expansion. And do you know why? Nobody knows why. Nobody knows why. And you'll hear the expression nowadays, dark energy, dark matter, which are mathematical ideas that seem to reckon well with what seems to be the gravitational attraction of clusters of stars, galaxies, and their expansion. And then, isn't it reasonable that whatever is out there causing the universe to expand is here also? And we just haven't figured out how to detect it. My friends, suppose a science student from the Commonwealth of Kentucky pursues a career in science and finds out the answer to that deep question. Where did we come from? What was before the Big Bang? To us, this is wonderful and charming and compelling. This is what makes us get up and go to work every day, is to try to solve the mysteries of the universe.
And that's time. Mr. Ham, a response?
Bill, I just want to let you know that there actually is a book out there that actually tells us where matter came from.
It's already, nailed it. Nailed it. We already have all the answers. God, why... The idiot for trying to find answers. Duh. I love that. This is such a big moment for him in the debate. The Bible, duh.
And
Nailed
actually tells us where matter came from. And
it. How this is just one family, by the way. This just one cousin removed, second cousin, marry your sister's brother. There it is. Look at all these people.
very first sentence.
Look at their faces. These people. Oh my god, dude. They're
That
so
book says,
excited
in the
about that
beginning,
one.
God created the
Fucking idiot. Fucking dumbass. It's like they're so proud of themselves.
heavens and the earth. And really, that's the only thing that makes sense. It's the only thing that makes sense of why not just matter is here, where it came from, but why matter, when you look at it, we have information and language systems that build life, not just matter. And where did that come from? Because matter can never produce information. Matter can never produce a language system. Languages only come from intelligence. Information only comes from information. The Bible tells us that the things we see, like in the book of Hebrews, are made from things that are unseen. An infinite creator God who created the universe, created matter, the energy, space, mass, time, universe, and created the information for life. It's the only thing that makes logical sense.
That's the only thing.
All right, Mr. Ham, a new question here.
Duh.
The overwhelming majority of people in the scientific community have presented valid physical evidence, such as carbon dating and fossils, to support evolutionary theory. What evidence besides the literal word of the Bible supports creationism?
True. Dude, that's such a good thing. Like, okay, yeah, I will debate you on Adam and Eve. You get to ban a book, I get to ban a book. Go. Which book are you banning? I think Christopher Hitchens did this. It's like, I ban the Bible. Okay, you can't reference the Bible to support your theory. And which book you want to ban? Oh, Origin of Species, Charles Darwin. Wow, we haven't referenced that in a really long time, since DNA was discovered, basically. So I'm okay with that one. That's okay with me. Oh, what? No.
Well, first of all, I often hear people talking about the majority. I would agree that the majority of scientists would believe in millions of years. The majority would believe in evolution, but there's a large group out there that certainly don't. But the first thing I want to say is that it's not the majority that's a judge of truth. There have been many times in the past when the majority have got it wrong. The majority of doctors in England once thought after you cut up bodies you could go and deliver babies, and wonder why the death rate was high in hospitals till they found out about diseases caused by bacteria and so on.
And why didn't God tell us that? Why didn't God tell us about the microbial world that we couldn't see? And why did he allow death and suffering for so long because of that? He could have easily just included something about microbes somewhere. And he just doesn't. And never even talks about DNA. Imagine that. The language that God uses in order to have presumably make everyone, that just doesn't make the cut. They don't talk about it in the Bible. They don't talk about, the 4 siblings, the 2 pairs or something like that, or the structure of DNA, a helical staircase that's everywhere. There's so many different ways that they could have referenced the Bible that could have been like truly revolutionary, illuminary. Whoa, how did you know that? We don't have a microscope. How did you know about bacteria and yeast before we could even see them? Like, that would be a slam dunk. But they don't. And it's only until we abandon theology that we have our inquiry into how the world works that we understand germ theory after that. That's the biggest problem that I have with this line of thinking. It's like, dude, like we didn't discover germ theory based off of biblical principles.
The majority once thought the appendix was a leftover organ from from our evolutionary ancestry. So when it's okay, rip it out. When it's disease, rip it out. Rip it out anyway. But these days we know that it's for the immune system, and it's very, very important. So first it's important to understand that just because a majority believes something doesn't mean that it's true. And then I'm sorry, I missed the last part of the question there.
What was the? Make sure I have the right question here.
About carbon dating.
So what evidence besides the literal word of the Bible supports creationism?
One of the things I was doing was I was making predictions. I made some predictions. There's a whole list of predictions. And I was saying, if the Bible's right, and we're all descendants of Adam and Eve, there's one race. And I went through and talked about that. If the Bible's right and God made kinds, I went through and talked about that. And so, really that question comes down to the fact that we're again dealing with the fact there's aspects about the past that you can't scientifically prove because you weren't there, but observational science in the present. Bill and I all have the same observational science. We're here in the present. We can see radioactivity, but when it comes to then talking about the past, you're not going to be scientifically able to prove that, and that's what we need to admit. But we can be great scientists in the present, as the examples I gave you of Dr. Damadian or Dr. Stuart Burgess or Dr. Fabich, and we can be investigating the present. Understanding the past is a whole different matter.
Mr. Nye, 1 minute response.
Thank you, Mr. M. I have to disabuse you of a fundamental idea. If a scientist, if anybody, makes a discovery that changes the way people view natural law, scientists embrace him or her. This person's fantastic. Louis Pasteur, you made reference to germs. No, if you find something that changes, that disagrees with common thought, that's the greatest thing going in science.
Yeah, it's true.
We look forward to that change. We challenge you. Tell us why the universe is accelerating. Tell us why these mothers were getting sick. And we found an explanation for it. And but just the idea that the majority has sway in science is true only up to a point. And then the other thing I just want to point out, what you may have missed in evolutionary...
They always say this, like they always say this whole like, oh, it's not fair, like, we couldn't get our stuff passed, and we couldn't get our things done in journals, so nobody can. It's like, well, no, you don't get you don't get like printed in journals because it's absolutely garbage. The whole ideology that you have just hasn't been reproducible, hasn't actually been shown to do anything. That's why it has nothing to do with where it's coming from.
Explanations of life is it's the mechanism by which we add complexity. The Earth is getting energy from the sun all the time, and that energy is used to make life forms somewhat more complex.
And that's time. New question for you, Mr. Nye. How did consciousness come from matter?
Don't know. This is a great mystery. A dear friend of mine is a neurologist. She studies the nature of consciousness. Now, I will say, I used to embrace a joke about dogs. I mean, who doesn't? And you can say, this guy remarked, I've never seen a dog paralyzed by self-doubt. Actually, I have. Furthermore, the thing that we celebrate, there are 3 sundials on the planet Mars that bear an inscription to the future. To those who visit here, we wish a safe journey and the joy of discovery. It's inherently optimistic about the future of humankind, that we will one day walk on Mars. But the joy of discovery, that's what drives us. The joy of finding out what's going on. So we don't know where consciousness comes from, but we want to find out. Furthermore, I'll tell you it's deep within us. I claim that I have spent time with dogs that have had the joy of discovery. It's way inside us. We have one ancestor, as near as we can figure.
Dude, I mean, we literally, you can do puzzles with your dog. They can be trained to learn new things and push themselves, and have some inquiry into the world for sure.
And by the way, if you can find what we in science call a second genesis, This is to say, did life start another way on the Earth? There are researchers at Astrobiology Institute, researchers supported by NASA, your tax dollars, that are looking for answer to that very question. Is it possible that life could start another way? Is there some sort of life form akin to science fiction that's crystal instead of membranous? This would be a fantastic discovery that would change the world. The nature of consciousness is a mystery. I challenge the young people here to investigate that very question. And I remind you, taxpayers and voters that might be watching, if we do not embrace the process of science, I mean in the mainstream, we will fall behind economically. This is a point I can't say enough.
Mr. Ham, a 1 minute response.
No, it's true. It's so sad to hear, man. Oh my God. That's so sorry to hear that you're right. You're right. We didn't listen. We didn't listen. I'm sorry. See you, Ness.
Bill, I do want to say that there is a book out there that does document where consciousness came from.
Oh my God, everyone, there's one book every time. How convenient. Why would you not just read that one book that has all the answers in it? Duh. Like, duh. It's these people are laughing. They're loving it because it's just it's the easiest, like, I don't need to know the answer because I'm certain that it's in the Bible, so and I believe in the Bible, so therefore I don't have to learn anything ever again. Checkmate. And he's filling that bucket up again and again and again in their mind.
And in that book, the one who created us said that he made man in his image, and he breathed
Bacteria.
into man, and he became a living being. And so the Bible does document that. That's where consciousness came from, that God gave it to us. And the other thing I want to say is,
Phew.
I'm sort of a little, I have a mystery. And that is, you talk about the joy of discovery, but you also say that when you die, it's over, and that's the end of you. And if when you die, it's over, and you don't even remember you were here, what's the point of the joy of discovery anyway? I mean, in an ultimate sense. I mean, you won't ever know you were ever here, and no one who knew you will know they were ever here ultimately. So, what's the point anyway?
Because I'm here now. I'm here now. I'm alive, and I'm here right now, and I'm doing this thing that people call living. That's why. So the idea that, like, for some reason in the future, I'm not gonna have a memory of myself or this moment, that means that the time right now is limited and very important in order to take advantage of. So it's actually the idea that we somehow look forward to death. Like, how sick and demented that is in reality. Like, that's what I don't understand.
I love the joy of discovery because this is God's creation, and I'm finding more out about that to take dominion for man's good and for God's glory.
Time. Mr. Ham, a new question. This is a simple question, I suppose, but one that actually is fairly profound for all of us in our lives. What, if anything, would ever change your mind?
Dude, so, honestly, it's actually very easy. Like, anyone that is actually really thinking about things like this or being academically honest could absolutely find a way that your mind would be changed. It would have to be, for me, I mean, it would have to be not just me. It would have to be evidence, Stephen, for sure. But it would have to be evidence that wasn't just me that was observing it, right? So the idea of, like, God coming to me and me accepting him, well, that doesn't make any sense because I could be having a stroke, right? So the reality is that it would have to be some supernatural shared experience across a lot of people, millions of people, that was completely unique to humans, that never existed before, in a way that and really create shared experience that linked us together, that couldn't be explained in any other way. That would have to be some type of supernatural thing, because supernatural things haven't been shown to exist either. So it kind of like, it would have to be proving that the supernatural world exists and also showing that somehow the person behind that, or that the creature behind that supernatural thing was also the creator of the world. And very, very unlikely. So, oh, I love that. I want to see a dude live in a fish mouth for 3 days. Yeah, exactly, Steven.
Wow.
I think that you have to say no here. There is not, because I already have the truth and I can't be wrong. So that's it. In his mind, he can't back down from this, because he's 100%. You can question faith, but you can't deny it, right? So he can't ever be proven wrong because he is 100% right. So that's how I think that he navigates this.
The answer to that question is, I'm a Christian.
See, there's no, see, it's like, it's just, he doesn't even care. He just doesn't even care. The question, can I ever be wrong? No, I'm a Christian. That's what he's just, the answer to that is I'm a Christian. That's what I am through and through. And it doesn't matter. No. So, oh my.
And as a Christian, I can't prove it to you. But
I gotta have faith.
God has definitely...
Say it. You just gotta have faith. Say it. Just, you have to have faith. Say it right now.
Shown me very clearly through his word, and shown himself in the person of Jesus Christ. The Bible is the word of God. I admit that that's where I start from. I can challenge people that you can go and test that. You can make predictions based on that. You can check the prophecies in the Bible. You can check the statements in Genesis. You can check that. And I did a little bit of that tonight. And
are we denying that humans have a soul? I'm not denying that humans have a soul because they don't have one. So there's no proof or any way that people have ever shown to have a soul. So I can't deny some. We also don't have like a tiny little robotic man living inside of you that's like a little puppet master. You know what I mean? Are you denying that you have a puppet master that's living in your brain right now? Like what? Like, and I actually think that that is actually the best point. Genuinely, I do think that the battle that we have as scientists and as people of like reason, we actually aren't battling God as much as we are battling the idea that souls exist inside of people's brains. Like, people think that there is a supernatural being inside of you that's separate than your human existence. And I think that that is the nefarious part. Absolutely. Do you deny the purple dragon that lives in my garage? Exactly. Exactly. It's like, I guess. I mean, I do I have to deny everything that could not exist as well? Like, that's a long list, man. Like, it's a long
can't ultimately prove that to you. All I can do
Say
is
faith.
to say
faith.
to someone, look,
Say it.
if the Bible really is what it claims to be, if it really is the Word of God and that's what it claims, then check it out. And the Bible says if you come to God believing that he is, he'll reveal himself to you. And you will know. As Christians, we can say we know. And so as far as the Word of God is concerned, no. No one's ever going to convince me.
No. He said no. There it is.
That the Word of God is not true. But I do want to make a distinction here, and for Bill's sake, we build models based upon the Bible, and those models are always subject to change. The fact of Noah's flood is not subject to change. The model of how the flood occurred is subject to change because we observe in the current world, and we're able to come up with maybe different ways this could have happened or that could have happened, and that's part of that scientific discovery. That's part of what it's all about.
My internal monologue was like, oh, hell no, to some of these Bible stories at Sunday school. Exactly, Stephen. I think that is where a huge portion of like my atheism started coming from, was like figuring out that young earth creationism existed and that dinosaurs were fake and that the bones were planted. I'm like, bro, like that is like what? Like telling a little kid that dinosaurs are fake and that they don't ever existed. Yo, like come on, bro. Hey, user. Like it's so embarrassing, dude. Like, I'd save that. Never say that to a kid. Or maybe you do. Maybe you do.
The bottom line is that as a Christian, I have a foundation, but as a Christian,
Say
I would
faith.
ask Bill the question, what would change your mind? I mean, you said even if you came to faith, you'd never give up believing in billions of years. I think I quoted you correctly. You said something like that recently. So that would be also my question to Bill.
Time. Mr. Nye?
We would just need one piece of evidence. We would need
Yeah.
the fossil that swam from one layer to another. We would need evidence
Yeah,
that the universe
it's
is
so
not
easy.
expanding. We would need evidence that the stars appear to be far away, but they're not. We would need
A single.
evidence that
There's to be so easy. It'd be so easy. And I faked the Holy Ghost, and my Sunday school teacher would be nice to me, dude. So I have a funny story about this. When I was like 10 years old, I was going to Sunday school, and they were like, he was like, "Yo, bruh, like anyone want to stay late and have God accepted into their lives, you know, dude, you want to?" And I was like, "Okay, sure." And so I stayed late, and he was like shocked. He was actually shocked that even anyone stayed after, you know. And I was like, "Okay, I'm ready," because I haven't felt anything, you know what I mean? In my mind, I'm like, I haven't felt anything enter into my life after going to church or anything, and this sounds interesting. Let's see it. Let's see how things change. So, and I'm like, I want to see what happens, you know? And I say yes. He's like, "All right, dude. Just like sit right here and just here we go." And I'm like, "Oh, here it is. Here it is." And he just like sticks his hand on my shoulder. He's like, Jesus, sweet Jesus, help Greg find his way and help him lead a good productive life and all this stuff." And then he's like, "All right, little dude. All right, there you go." And I'm just like sitting there, and I'm like trying to look and like feel around. I'm like, feels very similar to what it was like before, dude. Like, what is this? You know what? I'm like, is that it? Like that it? And then it was so disappointing. It was so boring and disappointing afterwards because I was like, oh man, nothing changed. That is this really me accepting, you know, God into my life, and if this is how it's gonna be, like nothing happened, you know? Why did the Ark Museum make insurance claims after a few days of severe thunderstorms? It's because they could only make 1% of the Ark, dude. If they could do the full thing. The scary thing is how many people convince themselves something does happen. Dude, Jared, I just saw the video today of someone getting like a book signing and someone doing like the shakes and stuff, or how getting the spirit out of them. Like, bro, come on, guys. Like, jeez, like, what do they not have a friend? Like, what is the point? I don't get it.
layers can somehow form in just 4,000 years instead of the extraordinary amount. We would need evidence that somehow you can reset atomic clocks and keep neutrons from becoming protons. You bring on any of those things, and you would change me immediately.
Yeah,
The
it's
question
so
I have
easy.
for you, though, fundamentally,
It actually is
and for
easy.
everybody watching, Mr. Ham, what can you prove? What you have done tonight is spent most of all the time coming up with explanations about the past.
Ooh,
what can you really
true.
predict? What can you really prove in a conventional scientific or in a conventional?
True. It's
I have
true.
an idea that makes a prediction and it comes out the way I see it.
That's what I asked Hovind too in the debate too. I was like, what is the new technology that you can create from your knowledge that you know, like, bro, like you know evolution better than me, and I'm trying to use evolution in the lab. So like, teach me something that I can use that I didn't know before. If you know so much about evolution, like, come on, like, tell me something. Nothing.
Is very troubling to me.
Mr. Nye, a new question. Outside of radiometric methods, what scientific evidence supports your view of the age of the Earth?
The
Bro,
age of the Earth.
the age of the Earth, bro. Radioisotopes would have to go back the ones that are that fill in all those things, right? That fill in all those gaps. Hey Jess, good morning. It would have to be. I went to a Pentecostal church. There was some weird ass white people. I bet, dude. Dude, it's all about faith. No, it's not, man. I don't have any faith in science. I have no faith. Actually, it's the opposite. Because I think that faith is like a form of hope, and I think hope is like a bad trait, bro. I think hope is a prison. So no, I don't have any faith or hope in science whatsoever. I have data, reproducibility. I have those type of things, not faith, not hope. We don't hope that an experiment reproduces. We don't hope that the mechanism is true. Like, we show it, we demonstrate it. It's true. It is or it isn't.
Well, the age of stars. Let's see. Radiometric evidence is pretty compelling.
Yeah.
Also, the deposition rates. It was.
It'd be like, what? It'd be like, other than your eyes, how do you know that red is real? And you're like, I feel like red is a really good thing to see with my eyes. So why could I not? Do I have to not use my eyes?
Was Lyell, a geologist, who realized, my recollection, he came up with the first use of the term deep time. When people realized that the Earth had to be much, much older. In a related story, there was a mystery as to how the Earth could be old enough to allow evolution to have taken place. How could the Earth possibly be 3 billion years old? Lord Kelvin did a calculation. If the sun were made of coal and burning, it couldn't be more than 100,000 or so years old. But radioactivity was discovered. Radioactivity is why the Earth is still as...
Did you see, as soon as Bill Nye turns over right here, check it, he looks at Ken Ham, and then Ken Ham like looks away. He's like, I'm not making eye contact with this guy. Hell no. Look at this. He's so afraid of him. He's not even willing to make eye contact with him. Look at this. Look at this alpha mog. This is before Lux Maxine, before the Lux Maxine, the jaw Maxine, true alpha. Watch this. Here we go. Watch him look over and
it couldn't be more than 100,000 or so years old. But radioactivity was...
He goes, yeah, that thing that you were saying was so stupid before. That's exactly what we think.
Discovered.
Look at him. He's like just looking at him square in, and then he goes, oh, you looking? Where are you looking over here?
Radioactivity is what...
Just couldn't stand just a second in the hot seat. It was just like, oh God, please don't look at me.
Why the Earth is still as warm as it is. It's why
I'm gonna just check my email.
the Earth has been able to sustain its internal heat all these millennia. And this discovery, it's something like this question, without radiometric dating, how would you view the age of the Earth? To me, it's akin to the expression, well, if things were any other way, things would be different.
Yeah. If you weren't even dating your wife, like, how would you see your wife? Like, what? What do you mean? What is that? If you didn't know your wife, how would you be friends with her? You're like, but I do. I don't. What? I mean, it also is like one of those things where, the better question, okay, without radioactivity, how do we know the age of the Earth? Without religion, how do you know about God? No, nobody in the history of the world has just been digging and found evidence of God randomly in nature. Do you know what I mean? We've never like gone through and just been like, oh wow, look at this, a polytheistic religion where they all are like physical on there. There's like a physical mount where all these gods live, and hang out with other people too. Wow, that's crazy. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's his name's Zeus. How cool. Nobody does. Um, oh my gosh, Ruben, the Earth is not young, bro. Like it's literally, it is billions of years old. It really is, dude. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. You're just wrong on this one.
This is to say, that's not how the world is. Radiometric dating does exist.
Yeah.
Neutrons do become protons, and that's our level of understanding today. The universe is accelerating. These are all provable facts. That there was a flood 4,000 years ago is not provable. In fact, the evidence, for me at least, as a reasonable man, is overwhelming that it couldn't possibly have happened. There's no evidence for it. Furthermore, Mr. Ham, you never quite addressed this issue of the skulls. There are many, many steps in what appears to be the creation or the coming into being of you and me. And those steps
and that's
oh my God, they cut his mic.
Mr. Ham, your response.
Are you serious?
By the way, just want people to understand too, you know, in regard to the age of the Earth being about 4.5 billion years, no Earth rock was dated to get that date. They dated meteorites, and because they assumed meteorites were same age as the Earth, left over from the formation of the solar system, that's where that comes from. People think they dated rocks on the Earth to get the 4.5 billion years. That's just not true. And the other point that I was making,
surely we have.
Just put this slide back up because I happen to just have it here. And that is, I said at the end of my first rebuttal time that there are hundreds of physical processes that set limits on the age of the Earth. Here's the point. Every dating method involves a change with time. And there are hundreds of them. And if
wait, Niagara Falls? What? Hundreds of physical processes set limits on the age of the universe. More than 90% of these processes give an age less than 1 billion of years. Niagara Falls? Why is Niagara Falls a process that limits the age of the Earth? What? Sodium in the sea, sediment in the sea, human population? What? Oil leaks in Earth? What? What about oil leaks in the Earth? Oh, there's so many oil leaks, dude. And then since there's oil leaks, you're gonna flood the Earth with oil. Duh. Like what, dude? Carbon-14 and meteorites. Wait. So carbon-14 and meteorites is okay. We can use carbon-14. We understand what protons and neutrons are suddenly with carbon-14 and meteorites. What? That's wild. Neutrons and lead-27. Again, how nice. Incredible. They know these things. Yeah, uranium. They suddenly understand these concepts, guys. Incredible. Wait, coral reef growth and bristlecone pines limit the age of the universe? Like he's just listing things that are observations in the world. Like what? How do any of these limit the age of the Earth? Please, peat bog growth. The fact that there's peat bog? What? Multi-layer fossils, hardening of rock. Niagara Falls is brutal, dude. That is well, uranium decay. 52 right here. Uranium decay. He's literally in his answers right now. He's answering why radioisotopes isn't used, it shouldn't be used. And then now he's saying, here, I got a better list for you. And he's literally citing on this list radiometric dating. What? Decay of comets. He must be talking about, is it decay of comets? Is he talking about the radiometric dating that's on comets?
Method involves a change with time. And there are hundreds of them. And if you assume what was there to start with, and you assume something about the rate, and you know about the rate, you make lots of those assumptions. Every dating method has those assumptions. Most of the dating methods, 90% of them, contradict the billions of years. There's no absolute age dating method from scientific method because you can't prove scientifically young or old.
What? You can't prove scientifically young or old. So he projects his own insecurities about his position to the fact that you'll never be able to figure it out. That's crazy. Am I getting this right? Ham is saying that the Earth isn't dated correctly because they dated meteorites. Yeah, I guess 6. I guess that's what he's saying in there in that list. I don't know how he's squaring that circle, man, but that is wild for me. But Niagara Falls, exactly, dude. It for anything out of nowhere, but Niagara Falls, like, oh, dude, I can't. Oh yeah, Niagara Falls does exist. I do. It's like,
and here is a new question. It starts with you, Mr. Ham. Can you reconcile the change in the rate continents are now drifting versus how quickly they must have traveled at creation 6,000 years ago?
The rate, sorry, I missed that word.
Can you reconcile the speed at which continents are now drifting today to the rate they would have had to have traveled 6,000 years ago to reach where we are now?
what do you mean that they were just figured out? They're there. I don't think that he thinks that plate tectonics even exists, does he? Because, I mean, God made the world how it is. I don't think that he thinks Pangea exists. Does he? No way. He doesn't think that Pangea exists.
I think that's the question.
Okay, I think I understand the question. Actually, this again illustrates exactly what I'm talking about in regard to historical science and observational science. We can look at continents today, and we have scientists who've written papers about this on our website. I'm definitely not an expert in this area. I don't claim to be. But there are scientists, even Dr. Andrew Snelling, our PhD geologist, has done a lot of research here too as well, and there are others out there into plate tectonics and continental drift.
Whoa.
And certainly we can see movements of plates today.
How?
And if you look at those movements, and if you assume the way it's moving today, the rate it's moving, that it's always been that way in the past, see, that's an assumption. That's the problem when it comes to understanding these things.
Oh
you
my
can observe
gosh.
movement, but then to assume that it's always been like that in the past, that's historical science. And in fact, we would believe basically in catastrophic plate tectonics that as a result of the flood, at the time of the flood, there was catastrophic breakup of the Earth's surface. And what we're seeing now is sort of, if you like, a remnant of that movement. And so we do not deny the movement, we do not deny the plates. What we would deny is that you can use what you see today as a basis for just extrapolating into the past. It's the same with the flood. You can say, well, layers today only get laid down slowly in places, but if there was a global flood, that would have changed all of that. Again, it's this emphasis on historical science and observational science. And I would encourage people to go to our website at Answers in Genesis, because we do have a number of papers, in fact, very technical papers. Dr. John Baumgartner is one who's written some very extensive work dealing with this very issue. On the basis of the Bible, of course, we believe there's one continent to start with because the waters were gathered together into one place. So we do believe that the continent has split up. But
Dude, that's a great point. Exactly, STLA. How did kangaroos get off the ark and back to Australia if there was a catastrophic breakup? That's a great point. Exactly. His whole thing that there was land bridges everywhere, but now all of a sudden he's like, the continents are actually doing bumper cars for a little bit. They were going everywhere, guys. They were just knocking around. We have no idea. They were all jumbled up. Yeah. But no way, dude. No way.
particularly the flood had a lot to do with that.
And time on that. Mr. Nye, a response.
It must have been easier for you to explain this a century ago, before
Exactly.
the existence of tectonic plates was proven. If you go into a clock store and there's a bunch of clocks, they're not all going to say exactly the same thing. Do you think that they're all wrong? The reason that we acknowledge the rate at which continents are drifting apart, one of the reasons, is we see what's called sea floor spreading in the mid-Atlantic. The Earth's magnetic
Look how
field...
he's just like, look at Cameron Ham just, I fucking hate my life. I swear to God. Why am I doing this to myself? What am I doing? I can't believe I'm here. Like, another day. Like, I better get into heaven for this shit. This is so embarrassing. Oh man, here he goes with another monologue of all this cool stuff, and I'm sitting here looking at my shoes because just really bored. That man, I became a minister and pastor just to impress that one girl, and she doesn't even like me, and she freaking married her cousin instead, and now I'm a minister for the rest of my life, and I got my freaking ark I gotta build. Do you have any idea what the property tax on a freaking ark is, man? It's freaking ridiculous. I can't even, what am I doing?
has reversed over the millennia, and as it does, it leaves a signature in the rocks as the continental plates drift apart.
Is that the PragerU guy? Right. Is it? I don't know.
So you can measure how fast the continents were spreading. That's how we do it on the outside. As I said, I lived in Washington State when Mount...
Yeah, hey, an ark is expensive. Do you have to get like boat insurance like for an ark? I mean, are they hosting this at the I think it's at Answers in Genesis is like they're actually that's where they're hosting it. Yeah.
And Helens exploded. That's a result of a continental plate going under another continental plate.
Allegedly.
And this water-laden rock led to a steam explosion. That's how we do it.
Allegedly.
And this is a question for you, Mr. Nye, but I guess I can put it to both of you. One-word answer, please. Favorite color?
I will go along with most people and say green. And it's an irony that...
Dude, a good yellow. That's my favorite color. Like like a solid. There's so many fun like yellow colors that I really like, but there's like that bright yellow, but like a warmth yellow, in it. I think that it's such a unique color and it goes well with so many other colors. I really feel like it's such a cool, like a goldish yellow, warm. It's really fun. The ark definitely had flood insurance.
Green plants reflect green light.
Did I not say one-word answer?
Most of the light...
I said one-word answer.
Most of the light from the sun is green, yet they reflect it. It's a mystery.
Well, can I have 3 words seeing as he had 300?
You can have 3.
Okay. Observational science, blue.
All right.
He's so dreamy.
Back to you, Mr. Nye. How do you balance the theory of evolution with the second law of thermodynamics? And I'd like to add a question here. What is the second law of thermodynamics?
Oh, second law of thermodynamics is fantastic.
Entropy.
And I call the words of...
The entropy has to be increasing. I mean, isn't that what's happening? Everything is becoming... Actually, I'm curious what he says here.
Of Eddington, who said, if you have a theory that disagrees with Isaac Newton, that's a great theory. If you have a theory that disagrees with relativity, wow, you've changed the world, that's great. But if your theory disagrees with the second law of thermodynamics, I can offer you no hope. I can't help you. And the second law of thermodynamics basically is where you lose energy to heat. This is why car engines are about 30% efficient. That's it, thermodynamically. That's why you want the hottest explosion you can get in the coldest outside environment. You have to have a difference between hot and cold. And that difference can be assessed scientifically or mathematically with this word entropy, this disorder of molecules. But the fundamental thing that this questioner has missed is the Earth is not a closed system. So there's energy pouring in here from the sun, if I may, day and night, because the night it's pouring in on the other side. And so that energy is what drives living things on Earth, especially for, in our case, plants. By the way, if you're here in Kentucky, about a third and maybe a half of the oxygen you breathe is made in the ocean by phytoplankton, and they
Hey.
get their energy from the sun. So
Hey, we know that
the second
stat.
law of thermodynamics is a wonderful thing. It has
We know
allowed
that.
us to have everything you see in this room, because our power generation depends on the robust and extremely precise computation of how much energy is in burning fuel, whether it's nuclear fuel or fossil fuel or some extraordinary fuel to be discovered in the future.
I thought it was trees. No, Ruben. I mean, they're plants, and algae are plants. So you technically do get 50% of your oxygen from plants, but they are the plants in the ocean. Basically, because algae are floating chloroplasts, and plants have a lot of like structural stuff that algae doesn't have to have. So it's very nice.
The second law of thermodynamics will govern any turbine that makes electricity that we all depend on and allowed all these shapes to exist.
Any response, Mr. Ham?
Let me just say two things, if I can. If
I have a book. I have a book.
One is, you know what? Here's the point we need to understand. You can have all the energy that you want, but energy or matter will never produce life. God imposed information, language system, and that's how we have life. Matter by itself could never produce life, no matter what energy you have. And, you know, even if you've got a dead stick, you can have all the energy in the world in that dead stick. It's going to decay, and it's not going to produce life. From a creationist perspective, we certainly agree. I mean, before man sinned, you know, there was digestion and so on, but because of the fall, now things are running down. God doesn't hold everything together as he did back then. So now we see, in regard to the second law of thermodynamics, we'd say it's sort of, in a sense, a bit out of control now compared to what it was originally, which is why we have a running down universe.
And that's time. A new question for you, Mr. Ham.
Guys,
Hypothetically,
I'm sorry. I went total Mitch McConnell there. Did he say words? Like, what happened? What in the world happened? We're running down the universe or something? I'm so lost.
existed that caused you to have to admit that the earth was older than 10,000 years and creation did not occur over 6 days, would you still believe in God and the historical Jesus of Nazareth and that Jesus was the Son of God?
Well,
A kid does not.
I've been emphasizing all night.
I'm a Christian.
Ever prove using the scientific method in the present, you can't prove the age of the earth. So you can never prove it's old. So there is no hypothetical.
Like, what is that? There is no hypothetical. There is no knowledge you can have about something. Like, what, man? Like, that is just so boring. Like, how could anyone be okay with that? Like, how could he's obviously not an analytical person. He doesn't actually care about learning new things. You know, it's just what an awful teacher.
Because you can't do that. Now, we can certainly use methods in the present and making assumptions. I mean, creationists use methods that change over time. As I said, there's hundreds of physical processes that you can use, but they set limits on the age of the universe, but you can't ultimately prove the age of the earth, not using the scientific method. You can't ultimately prove the age of the universe. Now, you can look at methods, and you can see that there are many methods that contradict billions of years, many methods that seem to support thousands of years. As Dr. Faulkner said in the little video clip I showed, there is nothing in observational astronomy that contradicts a young universe. Now, I've said to you before, and I admit again, that the reason I believe in a young universe is because of the Bible's account of origins. I believe that God, who has always been there, the infinite creator God, revealed in his word what he did for us. And when we add up those dates, we get thousands of years. But there's nothing in observational science that contradicts that. But as far as the age of the earth, the age of the universe, even when it comes to the fossil record, that's why I really challenge Christians. If you're going to believe in millions of years for the fossil record, you've got a problem with the Bible. And that is that then you've got to have death and disease and suffering before sin. So there is no hypothetical.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, there is no hypothetical. Things obviously never died before the Adam and Eve. Duh.
That you can't prove scientifically the age of the Earth or the universe. Bottom line.
Mr. Nye.
Bottom line, easy. Slam dunk.
Of course, this is where we disagree. You can prove the age of the Earth with great robustness by observing the universe around us. And I get the feeling, Mr. Ham, that you want us to take your word for it. This is to say, your interpretation of a book written thousands of years ago, as translated into American English, is more compelling for you than everything that I can observe in the world around me. This is where you and I think, are not going to see eye to eye. You asserted that life cannot come from something that's not alive. Are you sure? Are you sure enough to say that we should not continue to look for signs of water and life on Mars, that that's a waste? You're sure enough to claim that. That is an extraordinary claim that we want to investigate. Once again, what is it you can predict?
Yes.
What do you provide us that can tell us something about the future, not just about your vision of the past?
A new question, Mr. Nye. Is there room for God in science?
Well, we remind us there are billions of people around the world who are religious and who accept science and embrace it, and especially all the technology that it brings us. Is there anyone here who doesn't have a mobile phone that has a camera? Is there anyone here whose family members have not benefited from modern medicine? Is there anyone here who doesn't use email? Is there anybody here who doesn't eat? Because we use information sent from satellites in space to plant seeds on our farms. That's how we're able to feed 7.1 billion people, where we used to barely be able to feed 1 billion. So that's what I see. That's what we have used science, or the process. Science for me is two things. It's the body of knowledge, the atomic number of rubidium, and it's the process, the means by which we make these discoveries. So for me, that's not really that connected with your belief in a spiritual being or a higher power. If you reconcile those two, scientists, the head of the National Institutes of Health is a devout Christian. There are billions of people in the world who are devoutly religious. They have to be compatible because those same people embrace science. The exception is you, Mr. Ham. That's the problem for me. You want us to take your word for what's written in this ancient text to be more compelling than what we see around us. The evidence for a higher power and spirituality is, for me, separate. I encourage you to take the next minute and address this problem of the fossils, this problem of the ice layers, this problem of the ancient trees, this problem of the ark. I mean, really address it. And so then we could move forward. But right now, I see no incompatibility between religions and science.
Mr. Ham, response?
Yeah, I actually want to take a minute to address the question. Let me just say this.
Don't mind if I do.
God is necessary for science. In fact, you talked about cell phones. Yeah, I have a cell phone. I love technology. We love technology here at Answers in Genesis. And I have email. I probably had millions of them while I've been speaking up here. And satellites and what you said about, the information we get. I agree with all that. See, they're the things that can be done in the present. And that's just like I showed you, Dr. Stuart Burgess, who invented that gear set for the satellite. Creationists can be great scientists. But see, I say God is necessary because you have to assume the laws of logic. You have to assume the laws of nature. You have to assume the uniformity of nature. And that was the question I had for you. Where does that come from if the universe is here by natural processes? Christianity and science, the Bible and science go hand in hand. We love science. But again, you've got to understand, inventing things, that's very different than talking about our origins. Two very different things.
Dude, great point. Yeah, God is necessary for science, but science is wrong. Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. Because they're just cherry picking, right? Like anything that suits their narrative is theirs. Anything that doesn't, they're not touching it, and they're moving on. It's just that's a great point, man. It's so weird.
Mr. Ham, a new question. Do you believe the entire Bible is to be taken literally? For example,
not the flat earth
people
parts.
Who touch pig's skin, I think it says here, be stoned? Can men marry multiple women?
Do I believe the entire Bible should be taken literally? Well, remember in my opening address, I said we have to define our terms. So when people ask that question, say literally, I have to know what that person meant by literally. Now, I would say this, if you say naturally, and that's what you mean by literally, I would say, yes, I take the Bible naturally. What do I mean by that? Well,
what?
If it's history, as Genesis is, it's written as typical historical narrative, you take it as history. If it's poetry, as we find in the Psalms, then you take it as poetry. It doesn't mean it doesn't teach truth, but it's not a cosmological account in the sense that Genesis is. There's prophecy in the Bible. And there's literature in the Bible, concerning future events and so on. So if you take it as written, naturally, according to the type of literature, and you let it speak to you in that way, that's how I take the Bible. It's God's revelation to man. He used different people. The Bible says
Oh my
that all
gosh.
Scripture is inspired by God. So God moved people by His Spirit to write His words. And also there's a lot of misunderstanding in regard to Scripture and in regard to the Israelites. I mean, we have laws in our civil government here in America that the government sets. Well, there were certain laws for Israel. And, some people take all that out of context and then they try to impose it on us today as Christians and say, you should be obeying those laws. It's a misunderstanding of the Old Testament. It's a misunderstanding of the New Testament. And, again, it's important to take the Bible as a whole, interpreting Scripture as Scripture. If it really is the Word of God, then there's not going to be any contradiction which says not. And by the way, when men were married to multiple women, there were lots of problems. And the Bible condemns that for what it is. And the Bible is very clear. The Bible is a real book. There were people who did things that were not in accord with Scripture, and He records this for us. It helps you understand it's a real book. But marriage was one man for one woman. Jesus reiterated that in Matthew 19, as I had in my talk. And so those that did marry multiple women were wrong.
Time there, Mr. Nye.
What?
So it sounds to me, just listening to you over the last 2 minutes, that there's certain parts of this document of the Bible that you embrace literally and other parts you consider poetry.
Convenient.
So it sounds to me in those last 2 minutes like you're going to take what you like, interpret literally, and other passages you're going to interpret as poetic or descriptions of human events.
Yep.
All that aside, I'll just say scientifically, or as a reasonable man, it doesn't seem possible that all these things that contradict your literal interpretation of those first few passages, all those things that contradict that, I find unsettling when you want me to embrace the rest of it as literal. Now, as I say, I'm not a theologian, but we started this debate, is the Ken Ham's creation model viable? Does it hold water? Can it fly? Does it describe anything? And I'm still looking for an answer.
And time on that. Mr. Nye, here's a new question. I believe this was miswritten here because they've repeated a word, but I think I know what they were trying to ask. Have you ever believed that evolution was accomplished through way of a higher power? I think that's what they're trying to ask here. This is the intelligent design question, I think. If so, why or why not? Why could not the evolutionary process be accomplished in this way?
Okay, I think you may have changed the question just a little bit. No, it's all good.
The word-for-word question is, have you ever believed that evolution partook through way of evolution?
I think I thought, but let me introduce these ideas for Mr. Ham to comment. The idea that there's a higher power that has driven the course of the events in the universe and our own existence is one that you cannot prove or disprove. And this gets into this expression agnostic. You can't know. I'll grant you that. When it comes to intelligent design, which is, if I understand your interpretation of the question, intelligent design has a fundamental misunderstanding of the nature of nature. This is to say, the old expression is if you were to find a watch in the field, and you'd pick
watchmaker's
it up,
fallacy.
you would realize that it was created by somebody who was thinking ahead, somebody with an organization chart with somebody at the top, and he'd order screws from screw manufacturers and springs from spring manufacturers and glass crystals from crystal manufacturers. But that's not how nature works. This is the fundamental insight in the explanation for living things that's provided by evolution. Evolution is a process that adds complexity through natural selection. This is to say, nature has its mediocre designs eaten by its good designs.
Yep.
And so the perception that there's a designer that created all this is not necessarily true, because we have an explanation that is far more compelling and provides predictions, and things are repeatable. I'm sure, Mr. Ham, here at the facility, you have an organization chart. I imagine you're at the top, and it's a top-down structure. Nature is not that way. Nature is bottom-up. This was the discovery. Things merge up. Whatever makes it keeps going. Whatever doesn't make it falls away. And this is compelling and wonderful and fills me with joy and is inconsistent with a top-down view.
And that's time. Mr. Ham.
What Bill Nye needs to do for me
Read the
is
book.
to show me an example of something, some new function that arose that was not previously possible from the genetic information that was there.
But-
And I would claim
But-
and challenge you that there is no such example that you can give. That's why I brought up the example in my presentation of Lenski's experiments in regard to E. coli, and there were some that seemed to develop the ability to exist on citrate. But as Dr. Fabich said, from looking at his research, he's found that that information was already there. It's just a gene that switched on.
Oh my
and
gosh, this
and
is so nefarious.
there is no example, because information that's there in the genetic information of different animals, plants, and so on. There's no new function that can be added. Certainly great variation within a kind, and that's what we look at. But you'd have to show an example of brand new function that never previously was possible. There is no such example that you can give.
Yeah, I mean, Francis Arnold literally got the Nobel Prize for this in 2017, making novel chemical bonds that didn't exist in nature before.
Anywhere in the world.
Fresh question here. Mr. Ham, name one institution.
Do you agree with Trump that MAGA is an intelligent design? I mean, for branding, it's really good.
Business or
Is Mr. Ham a pastor or has any credits with science? He's apparently a school teacher or something, or now he's a pastor.
organization other than a church, amusement park, or the Creation Museum that is using any aspect of creationism to produce its product?
Any scientist out there, Christian or non-Christian, that is involved in inventing things, involved in
Make America measles
the
again.
scientific method, is using creation.
Oh my
They are,
God, I hate
because they're
this.
borrowing from a Christian worldview. They're using the laws of logic. I keep emphasizing that. I want Bill to tell me, in a view of the universe, it's a result of natural processes, explain where the laws of logic came from. Why should we trust the laws of nature? I mean, are they going to be the same tomorrow as they were yesterday? In fact, some of the greatest
If God chooses
scientists
that.
ever lived, Isaac Newton, James Clerk Maxwell, Michael Faraday, were creationists. And as one
No,
of
they're
them
not.
said, he's thinking
They're
God's
not
thoughts
creationists
after
like
him.
you are, dude. God, what? It's just so nefarious, man. He's just lying.
That's really, modern science really came out of that thinking, that we can do experiments today and we can do the same tomorrow. We can trust the laws of logic. We can trust the laws of nature. And if we don't teach our children correctly about this, they're not going to be innovative. And they're not going to be able to come up with inventions to advance in our culture. And so I think the person was trying to get out that, there are lots of secularists out there doing work and they don't believe in creation and they come up with great inventions. Yeah, but my point is they are borrowing from the Christian worldview to do so. And as you saw from the video quotes I gave, people like Andrew Fabich and also Dr. Faulkner have published in the secular journals. There's
Do you think it's a good idea to mix science and religion together? I mean, I don't think that you can. I don't think that religion is science, man. I don't think that it's possible.
lots of creationists out there who publish. People might know that they're creationists because the topic doesn't specifically pertain to creation versus evolution, but there's lots of them out there. If I go to our website, there's a whole list there of scientists who are creationists, who are out there doing great work in this world and helping to advance technology.
Mr. Nye.
There's a reason that I don't accept the Ken Ham model of creation, is that it has no predictive quality, as you touched on. And something that I've always found troubling, it sounds as though, and next time around you can correct me. It sounds as though you believe your worldview, which is a literal interpretation of most parts of the Bible, is correct. Well, what became of all those people who never heard of it?
Yeah.
Never heard of you?
Yeah.
What became of all those
indigenous
people in
tribes?
Asia? What became of all those First Nations people in North America? Were they condemned and doomed? I mean, I don't know how much time you spent talking to strangers, but they're not sanguine about that. To have you tell them that they are inherently lost or misguided, it's very troubling. And you say there are no examples in nature. There are countless examples of how the process of science makes predictions.
Mr. Nye, since evolution teaches that man is evolving and growing smarter over time, how can you explain the numerous evidences of man's high intelligence in the past?
Hang on. There's no evidence that humans are getting smarter. No, especially if you ever met my old boss.
But
no.
Oh, Obama? Is that what you're talking about?
What happens in evolution, and it's a British word that was used in the middle 1800s. It's survival of the fittest. And in this usage, it doesn't mean the most push-ups or the highest scores on standardized tests. It means that those that fit in the best. Our
Nefarious.
intellect, such as it is enabled us to dominate the world. I mean, the evidence of humans is everywhere. James Cameron just made another trip to the bottom of the ocean, the deepest part of the ocean, the first time since 1960. And when they made the first trip, they found a beer can. Humans are everywhere.
It's true.
And so it is our capacity to reason that has taken us to where we are now. If a germ shows up, as it did, for example, in World War I,
A germ.
where more people were killed by
Wait a second. A germ. Germ theory?
the flu than were killed by the combatants in World War I. That is a troubling and remarkable fact. If the right germ shows up, we'll be taken out. We'll be eliminated. Being smarter is not a necessary consequence of evolution. So far, it seems to be the way things are going because of the remarkable advantage it gives to us we can control our environment and even change it. As
Yeah,
we're
I think
doing
Spanish
today,
influenza.
apparently by accident.
We needed you earlier tonight on Amanda Rose's live of Dr. Fauci's diary came up. Dude, that sounds so fake, man. I thought that the diary, I don't believe it, man. I don't. It just feels so weird. There's some AI like generated stuff in it. It just doesn't feel real. I don't know. He's not speaking like an academic would. I'm very skeptical of it. I think it's fake. But
So-
I don't have any evidence of that, but my first glance at that and then looking at Rand Paul's website, I'm like, this doesn't look good.
Everybody just take a little while and grasp this fundamental idea. It's how you fit in with nature around you. So as the world changed, as it did, for example, the ancient dinosaurs, they were taken out by a worldwide fireball, apparently caused by an impactor. That's the best theory we have. And we are the result of organisms that live through that catastrophe. It's not necessarily smarter, it's how you fit in with your environment.
Mr. Ham, a response?
I remember at university, one of my professors was very excited to give us some evidence for evolution. He said, look at this, here's an example. These fish have evolved the ability not to see. And he was going to give an example of blind cave fish. And he said, see, in this cave, they're evolving because now the ones that are living there, their ancestors had eyes, now these ones are blind. And I remember talking about Professor, but wait a minute, now they can't do something that they could do before. They might have an advantage in this sense, in a situation that's dark like that. Those with eyes might have got diseases and died out. Those that had mutations for no eyes are the ones that survived. It's not survival of the fittest, it's survival of those who survive. And it's survival of those that have the information in those circumstances to survive. But it's not, you're not getting new information, you're not getting new function. There's no example of that at all. So we need to correctly understand these things.
All right.
What?
We're down to our final question here, which I'll give to both of you. And in the interest of fairness here, because it is a question to both of you, let's give each man 2 minutes on this if we can, please. And also in the interest of you having started first, Mr. Ham, I will have you start first here. You have the first word. Mr. Nye will have the last word.
I didn't get any of that.
The question is, What is the one thing, more than anything else, upon which you base your belief?
Well, it's the one thing
Word of God.
on anything else
Faith.
which I base my belief. Well, again, to summarize the things that I've been saying, there is a book called the Bible. It's very unique.
Oh
It's
my
very different than any
God.
other book out there. In fact, I don't know of any other religion that has a book that starts off by telling you that there's an infinite God and talks about the origin of the universe and the origin of matter and the origin of light and the origin of darkness and the origin of day and night and the origin of the earth and the origin of dry land and the origin of plants and the origin of the sun, moon and stars, the origin of sea creatures, the origin of flying creatures, the origin
Oh
of
my
land
gosh.
creatures, the origin of man, the origin of woman, the origin of death, the origin of sin, the origin of marriage, the origin of different languages, the origin of clothing, the origin of nations.
Oh
I mean,
my
it's
gosh,
a very, very
dude.
specific book, and it gives us an account of a global flood in the history and the Tower of Babel. And if that history is true, then what about the rest of the book? Well, that history also says man is a sinner, and it says that man is separated from God, and it gives us a message that we call the gospel, the message of salvation, that God's Son stepped in history to die on the cross, be raised from the dead, and offers a free gift of salvation because the history is true. That's why the message based on history is true. I actually went through some predictions and listed others, and there's a lot more that you can look at, and you can go and test it for yourself. If this book really is true, it is so specific, it should explain the world. It should make sense of what we see. The flood, yeah, we have fossils all over the world. The Tower of Babel, yeah, different people groups, different languages. They have flood legends, very similar to the Bible. Creation legends, similar to the Bible. There's so much you can look at, and prophecy, and so on. And most of all, as I said to you, the Bible says, if you come to God believing that he is, he'll reveal himself to you. You will know. If you search after truth, you really want God to show you as you would search after silver and gold. He will show you. He will reveal himself to you.
Oh my gosh.
Would you repeat the question?
The question is, what is the one thing, more than anything else, upon which you base your belief?
As my old professor Carl Sagan said so often, when you're in love, you want to tell the world. And I base my beliefs on the information and the process that we call science. It fills me with joy to make discoveries every day of things I had never seen before. It fills me to joy to know that we can pursue these answers. It is a wonderful and astonishing thing to me that we are, you and I, are somehow at least one of the ways that the universe knows itself. You and I are a product of the universe. It's astonishing. I admit, I see your faces, that we have come to be because of the universe's existence. And we are driven to pursue that, to find out where we came from. And the second question we all want to know, are we alone? Are we alone in the universe? And these questions are deep within us, and they drive us. So the process of science, the way we know nature, is the most compelling thing to me. And I just want to close by reminding everybody what's at stake here.
Oh God, here it
If
is.
we abandon
Here it is.
all that we've learned,
Inception.
our ancestors, what they've learned
No, we
about
didn't
nature,
listen.
our place in it. If we abandon the process by which we know it, if we eschew, if we let go of everything that people have learned before us, if we stop driving forward, stop looking for the next answer to the next question, we in the United States will be outcompeted by other countries, other economies. Now, that
Yay.
would be okay, I
It's
guess,
happening right now.
but I was born here. I'm a patriot. And so we have to embrace science education. To the voters and taxpayers that are watching, please keep that in mind. We have to keep science education in science classes. Thank you.
One tiny bit of important housekeeping for everyone here. The county is now under a level 2 snow emergency. Drive home carefully. You'll have a lot to talk about, but drive carefully. This debate will be archived at Debate Live.
All right, guys, that was it. Oh my gosh, thank you. Thank you, Bobby, so much. That's very kind of you. Man, I'm fading fast. Thank you, guys. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for watching. Thank you, guys. I'm fading fast. I almost fell asleep there. It's like, oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Bobby. Oh my God. It's so incredulous how even in the good faith portions of the debate where Ken Ham's just being asked like, hey, what, like, how could this change your mind? Nothing. You know, nothing. It's just like, dude, you're just not even, you know, academically not even paying attention to what the debate is, you know. So insane. Anyway, guys, well, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate you. Thank you for, oh wow, thank you, Saul Paul, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I did. I worked on the. I have a work. I have a worksheet that I'm doing. Filled that out. Got the outline going, and now I'm finishing it and putting the outline and the details in. And I don't know. I'm probably gonna do it. Probably shoot it this week and then edit it and then release it next week. Probably, I think, just because it's my first one. It's taking me a lot longer than I expected. So hopefully in the future I can, you know, pump it out a little bit easier. But yeah, thank you guys. I love you guys. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for everything. Thank you for liking, sharing. Thank you for the gifting. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you for hanging out on YouTube. All you guys in YouTube, I appreciate you. Please check out my YouTube videos. I'm putting out some good stuff every day now. Every day I'm putting out some YouTube videos. So if you haven't seen those segments, those are always a good thing. And yeah, I was busy today. It was fun. And yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate you. Bye.